Hi everyone, this is Soumyadeep Paul, a mentor at CodeKerdos and a software developer at Amazon. And I welcome all of you to day 9 of our system design series. Now in the previous two videos, we learned about some application characteristics. We saw that there are 3-4 very important application characteristics. And the very first one that we studied was latency. We studied what is latency, then we studied how we can improve it, different ways of improving latency, etc. Okay, we saw what is the difference between latency and response time, etc. Now, in today's video, we will be learning about two very more important characteristics. The first one is throughput. Okay, the first one is throughput. Now, what does throughput mean? Throughput means the number of requests a service can process in a second. Okay, can process in a second. So this is what throughput is. Let's suppose you have a service, you have a server, and your clients are sending requests to it. Now your clients might be sending a lot of requests to it. So the number of requests it can serve in a second is what is called as throughput. Okay, so obviously, suppose it can support X number of requests per second. So obviously the unit becomes requests per second. Okay, requests per second. Now from throughput, we can derive another very, very important characteristic which is called as bandwidth. Okay, which is bandwidth. Now, bandwidth means the amount of data a service can support, or basically not service, but basically my network. The amount of data a network can support. And actually, both throughput and bandwidth are kind of interrelated. They're kind of interrelated. Okay, they're interrelated. How are they interrelated? Because what are throughput? What is throughput? Throughput means the number of requests a service can process in a second, isn't it? So suppose you are getting X requests per second. Every request contains some data. Suppose you are sending a post request or a get request or a put get request or a delete request. Every request contains some data, isn't it? And that data will occupy some space. So let us assume that data occupies 100 kilobytes. Okay, let's assume on average, every request needs 100 KB of data. Okay. So if you are serving X requests per second, okay, number of requests per second is X. Therefore, total data processed per second will be 100 KB into X, isn't it? And this becomes your bandwidth. Okay. So this is how, if you know the throughput, if you have calculated the throughput, you can derive the bandwidth. And how does throughput gets calculated? That is something we'll discuss in the next session, where we take some requirement and based on our number of active users, based on our requirement, we get to calculate throughput. Now, based on our throughput, we have to calculate the required bandwidth, and then based on bandwidth, we need to set up our hardware, we need to set up our network in such a way that it can support that bandwidth. So what do you have? You have first traffic, you have users, you have traffic. From users, based upon traffic, you estimate your throughput. because you need to estimate some basic throughput, at least some minimum level of throughput which you need to support that amount of users. So then from that throughput, You can estimate your bandwidth. So from that bandwidth, you can purchase your network requirements. You can set up your network hardware, wires, etc. Network requirements. Okay. Okay. So this is what is happening. You find out your throughput and multiply the throughput with the average amount of data every request needs. That becomes your bandwidth. Okay, that becomes your bandwidth. And obviously the bandwidth unit will be something kilobyte or per second or megabytes per second, something like this. Okay. So this is what throughput is. This is what bandwidth is. This is what is the difference between throughput and bandwidth. And this is how you can calculate bandwidth from throughput. Okay. So that's all for today's video, and I'll see you all in the next video of our system design series, where we will try to solve a numerical on throughput. Okay. And if you want to learn these concepts in a much more in-depth manner, straight from MAANG developers, people who are working at companies like Amazon, Microsoft, Google, then do join CodeKerdos.